Still here? Great. Only a small percentage will reach this point, but we have certainly saved the best for last. This tool is the most powerful way to find happiness, but also the most difficult. It involves giving up the thing many of us care about the most, ourselves. It means putting aside your urge to focus on yourself. In this lesson, we will go over what love is not, putting love into practice, the role of empathy, the journey ahead, building purpose. Here I would like to mention the sponsor of the video, the Introducer app. Introducer is the place where all of us can meet together and create the community of friendship, support, and love that brought us here. Whatever connection you want to make in life, whether romance, friendship, exercise, gaming buddies, or anything else, the Introducer app has you covered. I, the creator of this course, am there, and I'd love for you to join me so together we can create something special. The link is in the description. Make no mistake, loving others is hard. For some, it can take the rest of our lives to perfect. It's not easy forgetting about yourself. After all, it's completely ingrained. But if we can learn to look outside our self-absorption, something amazing happens. A miracle. When we put others before ourselves, suddenly all our worries, our problems, our hang-ups, addictions, and insecurities just vanish out of sight. Every time we seek to help someone else, magic happens, and we get a spark of happiness. Where does it come from? Who knows? But it's there, it's powerful, and it brings a sense of peace, contentment, and joy that surpasses all understanding. There's a famous Chinese proverb that writes, "If you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. For a day, go fishing. For a month, get married. For a year, inherit a fortune. For a lifetime, help someone." Now, I want to start by prefacing that when we talk about love in this section, we are not referring to romantic love, which is filled with physical desires. The love we are referring to is characterized by care, concern, and selflessness. In some languages, the word love can be ambiguous, so maybe a better term is selfless compassion. The ancient Greek word agape is defined as a selfless, unconditional, often universal love. This is what we're talking about. Love is being patient in traffic. Love is listening when someone talks and caring about their response. Love is seeking the best for a person, whether they like you or not. Now, when I talk about love being the key to happiness, I don't mean receiving love from others. What I mean is rather the act of giving love to others, caring for others. It's not being loved that brings happiness. Look at the list of rock stars. Loved by literal millions of people, yet are so depressed they choose to end their own lives. The love I'm talking about here is not being loved by others, but rather loving others. Some have said cleanliness is next to godliness, but that's not true. Anyone who knows about godliness knows that really selflessness is next to godliness. The selfless are the clean, even though they may be covered in dirt on the outside. Inside the selfless are without blemish. In the Bible of the Christian religion, Jesus talks about picking up your cross daily and following him. I believe he is referring to loving others. Jesus' main act on earth was giving his life for all people, on a cross. In a sense, he was the ultimate servant. He desires for us to follow in those footsteps in loving and serving others. Now, I want to address some things that love is not, because it can be confusing, and we can make the mistake of thinking some of these. Something to be aware of is that loving others is not giving them what they want. Wants and needs are separate things. Also, it is not getting others' approval or having to be liked. That is self-seeking, which is only loving yourself. One simple illustration is this. You have a friend who is addicted to harmful drugs. They ask you to go get some more for them. Making them happy and getting their approval is going out and getting them more drugs. Loving them is recognizing that this addiction is not in their best interests. This is obviously overly simplistic, but I think it illustrates my point. Love will not always get you a reward. Sometimes, in fact, it will get you the opposite. Just as children learn to despise the corrections of their parents, so too will some people despise being corrected or even helped. But always apply discretion. In some situations, respecting others, which is also an act of love, means leaving them alone. So how do we love? Here is an exercise to do. You can do it alone, but it might be even better to try this where people are, maybe a cafe, for example. Take a seat, breathe. 10 long breaths, in and out. Calm your mind, empty your mind, be present and be in the moment. Everything else apart from this lesson can wait. Watch the people going past. Be subtle. If you're by yourself, you can think of people who you came across days previously. Think about where they could be going, where they've been. Consider what they might be thinking and why they might be thinking that. See someone and imagine them when they were a child, entering into life and going through all the lessons they've faced. The joys, the pains, the struggles. Imagine yourself in their shoes. What do you feel like? Are you happy about the way you look? Do you get along well with family and friends? Do you have people to confide in? Are you happy with your job, or is it just a paycheck to provide for a family? How did the events of your life change you? Did the pains in your life harden you? The disappointments make you weary? What is missing in your life? What would give you joy? Do you have needs, and how important are they? Do you have an illness? What are your struggles? Now imagine this person as your brother or sister, mother or father, son or daughter. What can you do to make their life a little better? A little easier? How would you feel if they had spent their life caring for you, with you, alongside you? Now stay in this place for a while. Embrace the feeling. How do you feel? Did you lose track of yourself? I hope so. I hope you felt your mind go into a special space, a selfless place, where you were no longer concerned about your own problems, but rather began to consider what others' problems might be. This is a powerful step. This is the beginning of love. You just practiced empathy. You practiced selflessness and compassion. All these things are what love is. This is the place for you to live, to reach true happiness. It is a mental place, a mindset that will set you free. It's like plugging yourself in for the first time, a battery which has gone flat, now beginning to recharge. You have become a light bulb shining again. This place is a place we can easily forget. When the worries of the world come flooding in, when selfish desires come, or anger when the same person we want to love turns around and hurts us. That's one of the reasons why it was so important for us to master the art of forgiveness. That, too, is a place we must live. We must hold forgiveness always close to our hearts so that we can live in a space of love and selfless compassion. Here is a saying I give to myself that reminds me whenever I need it. It is quite a nice saying in English, but not sure how it flows in other languages. It is this: whenever you lose your way, let love lead you home. Love is a journey that could take you the rest of your life to master. It is also one of the greatest fulfillments, purposes, and ambitions in life. The world has no shortage of people who need love. There is a world full of people suffering from starvation, displacement, domestic violence, human trafficking, loneliness, poverty, and injustice, to name a few. Jump over to globalgoals.org to see more. You also have a beautiful opportunity to help a stranger in need. Go on to Introjuicer and become a mentor to someone. Become a big brother or sister. Be a friend. Join the no rejection space. Join a mums group and be there for others, or help immigrants learn to survive where you live. There is a world out there desperate for selfless compassion. Here is my own take on the Chinese proverb at the beginning of the lesson. If you want to become rich, solve the problems of many people who have money. If you want to become happy, solve the problems of many people who have no money. Whatever you do, do in love, and you will find your paradise. The depth of peace, joy, fulfillment, and happiness you will find will change your life forever. Now you know the reason why I created this course. Now the trick is to get something that can bring this and turn it into a habit. One-offs are great, but they are one-off. We want something that will work day in and day out. That's a challenge, but that's your final assignment. Turn it into a job, a hobby. Combine things. You want to get exercise. Provide free personal training to mums. You love to read, then read weekly to the elderly in retirement homes or kids in hospitals. The world is your oyster. Have at it. But when you do these things, don't do them to gain anything, because that's the puzzle of love. When we do it to gain something for ourselves, it stops being love. It's a paradox. One way to overcome this is to think about how it's helping others and just focus on that. One way to overcome this is to think about how it's helping others and just focus on that. I didn't accidentally write that twice. That's an emphasis. It's compassion. This leads us on a journey. Suddenly, your life will have something called a greater purpose. And the more you work towards that greater purpose, the more deep contentment you will have. The kind of contentment which is not transient, that does not come and go depending on the day and the weather, it is lasting. Find the way that you, with all your strengths and gifts, passions and experiences, can give to the world, can help the world, contribute. What's the jigsaw piece of the puzzle that your existence can fill? How can you, as a unique and beautiful individual, help others? And it's not necessarily a numbers game. You might become the world to one person. Well, in this world, you are one person, so hopefully you understand the value of that. The chances are you know suffering. Imagine someone taking that suffering from you. Now imagine being able to take that suffering from someone else. Maybe you can stop the lifelong suffering of 10 people, or maybe you can take a tiny bit of suffering from 10,000 people. It will give your life meaning. You're no longer just living for yourself. You're living for a higher purpose. Call it a calling, call it destiny, call it whatever you want, and it's never too late. No matter what has come before, every moment we choose in which direction we will move. A giant ship is turned by just a small rudder, just like where our life turns is directed by the small choices we make, deciding where we desire our lives to go. Make no mistake, love is a narrow path. Not many people find it, and even fewer walk it. As the Bible says, "For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Now this leads to the final subject, religion.